Hi everyone, and welcome to this Google Hangout. Today I am joined by Marcus Liu, who is the Chief Digital Officer at Splend. Marcus will be joining us at the Chief Digital Officer Forum in Sydney this October 5th and 6th. If you want to check out some more info on the event, just look in the video description for the link to the website. So it's great to have you with us today, Marcus. So if you could start off by giving a little bit of an intro about yourself and about Splend and what you guys do.
Yeah, sure. Look, I think, hi everyone, I'm Marcus, I'm the Chief Digital Officer at Splend. Look, I can give you a really nice quick elevator pitch. What we do is we rent cars to Uber drivers. I think everyone likes a good sort of 6 words or less idea, and I think we've got one of them. So that's basically what we do. In terms of myself, I've actually had a foray into advertising, obviously more so the digital side for my whole career. It's actually my first foray into more client side work, which is quite interesting. I think, the skill set you have, and I think the broad skill set that you get from an agency, and then bringing and then focusing that on one client, I think has its advantages. And I guess, look, I've been doing this for over 15 years. I would probably consider myself as a digital native. Looking forward to meeting everyone at the panel in Sydney in October.
Great. Yeah, well, we're excited to have you join us. So you mentioned there a little bit kind of in your previous experience, the difference between working for a B2B agency but then now obviously leading the digital team at Splend, which has taken advantage of, what everyone likes to call the sharing economy. What are kind of the key differences that you've experienced in that role change?
I think some big ones would be probably, look, I think advantage number one for us is, I think, probably not having to go to an agency, number one, to get work done, actually getting people that can do the work for us. Obviously, as a startup, every dollar counts. So that's probably number one on, I guess, more of a cost-saving idea, actually getting people in who are actually physically doing the work rather than sort of paying head house for agency fees. But I think also, a big learning, again, it's sort of what I mentioned before, as an agency, you're stretched across, potentially anywhere up to 12 to 24 clients. And I think, the ability to focus on one and I guess do it well as well is really important. I think also, as I said, with clients, we always, I guess, as a CDO, what I find is that, everyone runs their own swim lanes. So you've got HR doing one thing, you've got operations doing something else, you've got, digital operations, IT, and then, and even what we in our business have, we have procurement. And I think, as an agency, we do work very collaboratively. And I think, being on a client side, I think there's still that sort of, everyone runs their own swim lanes and they can't, they don't sort of look around the sides. And I think that's where the role of the Chief Digital Officer comes into play more so, is they actually sort of bring all those people together and actually say, hey, let's try to solve a problem together, rather than everyone just going off and doing their own thing. Finance has gone off and gotten one system, and then it's like, oh, well, how come that doesn't integrate with something else? So, I've always seen myself as more the glue between each of the departments. And I think, as I said, we've always heard the horror stories around clients and, and sort of going, they all work in their own swim lanes, but, it actually is quite true. It's probably one of the surprising things for me. Joining a client-side business, I guess, was the fact that everyone sort of did kind of run their own swim lanes, and again, bringing everyone together, and running it, I guess, similar to an agency, always helps.
Yeah, no, really interesting perspective. So you kind of mentioned there cross collaboration with a number of different teams, and how important it is, particularly within a startup when, there's potentially not that many of you yet, just to get that working relationship as good as it can be. So obviously digital has had a massive impact on the development of marketing strategy. So how closely do you work with your marketing team? Is it kind of like an all day, every day thing, or yeah, just give us a bit of an insight there.
Yeah, look, I guess I probably play a little bit of a cross role here. Again, because my background is quite heavy in advertising and marketing, I'm a sort of a cross between the CMO and CDO. So I actually look after the marketing as well as the digital side of this business. So I do have obviously marketing managers and marketing coordinators that we have. But in terms of that's how close we work. We are sort of one in the same. And I guess it is important for us to work together, because I think anything, again, for a startup, we always talk about that word ROI. It's really important that we're measuring everything as we go. And obviously, everything for us is results based. It's not sort of, we don't have piles of money that we can throw away. We've got to make sure we're spending the money in the right spot.
Yeah, definitely. And like a huge kind of natural growth area for new brands is having a presence on social media. But obviously the kind of control lies with those platforms themselves. Do you have like a particular strategy you're using for kind of being visible on social media or working towards kind of improving your SEO?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'll talk it in two buckets. I'll talk social media first. Now, with social, it's really quite funny. When we first started, we thought social would be a really great channel for us to obviously perform, obviously A, to get our brand out there, but also B, acquisition, to actually probably, use social as a bit of a sales channel at the same time. And I guess, as I said, Splend's only been around for about a year. So sort of the first 4 or 5 months, it was, again, it's all a bit of test and learn. But what we found is, social is great for brand building, not so great for selling, in selling inverted commas. So, for us, we found that, again, our most of our social sort of moderation and our social, I guess we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We didn't opt to go for Twitter. But, again, it's all about brand building for us on those channels. So that's purely what we'll be doing moving forward is purely for brand building. Now, and again, there's no right or wrong answer. I think, we always hear the words test and learn, fail fast, Facebook's mantra and everyone else's. But, for us, it's really true. It's a really great business to work in. No one's, as I said, there's no finger pointing. It's just, hey, let's give it a go. We're a startup. If it doesn't work, let's pivot and do something else. And I think, look, we've grown from, one person to nearly 33 people within the last 12 months. And I think, still to have the ability to pivot quickly, I think is really important. And again, I'm probably going a little bit off tangent, but again, social is, again, more about our brand building. Now, in terms of, I guess, SEO separately, we have a mixture of SEO and SEM strategy. I think, again, for a startup, SEM is extremely important, because obviously with a new website or whatever else, you're sort of building, building your brand, but also your keywords and everything like that. So again, it's SEM, SEO, bolster SEM. And even more recently, again, we do spend quite a bit on SEM, and more recently, it's like, well, we had this question around a management meeting: is what is the real effectiveness of, I guess, of our paid media? So that's, again, that's Google, it's Facebook marketing, Instagram, and even LinkedIn posts as well. So what we've actually just done is we actually just turned off all media, all paid media in our business. Which is quite interesting. I think, a lot of businesses, may not have the luxury to do that. But I think, again, being a smaller team and a smaller business, we can do things like that. And again, quite interesting, we're finding out what is the real effectiveness on media. I know, when you go to a media agency, they'll say, oh, we'll get you this many impressions, or, this is your ROI. But, what's the real, again, what is a real KPI for us is bums in seats, is how many drivers we got on the road. our traffic might be great, with a lot of SEM attached, it may or may not be converting. So that's kind of how we use SEO and SEM in our business, and also social media.
Yeah, no, definitely. An interesting little experiment you obviously ran there. So clearly you've got a big emphasis on data and the analytics you can garner from, the data you're producing every day. Kind of what are your key strategies for really making sure you're picking out the right analytics? But then also, how do you kind of create this big data overload and actually just feed through to the useful stuff?
It's really funny, and I bring this from my agency life, but I think the easiest thing is keep it simple. I think, we in the world of data, there's so many data points, which, obviously we understand, but I think really it's keep it simple. I mean, a key metric for us is how many drivers we have, and obviously come from. So using that sort of attribution is, well, what money do I spend in what bucket? So in terms of, again, that data-driven strategy, again, it's keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. I think that's really the two things that, I've always had a view on, even on the agency side. People throw around a lot of big words, which I just think is not necessary. And, it's keep it super simple. That's all I can really say about that.
Yeah, good mantra. So obviously you're working very closely with drivers, and you're creating this relationship to, it's really the basis of whether they keep going with you. But how do you ensure kind of privacy and cybersecurity are really, at the center of everything you do and keeping everyone safe?
Yeah. I think, obviously in the world that we live in, privacy is very important. Again, we use a range of very corporate tools. So obviously we use CRM, we use a lot of fleet management, we use fleet management software. We even use telematics devices in all our cars as well. So, the people that we've partnered with, they have large and very secure infrastructure, number one. On our website itself, basic security measures like SSL, things like that, keeps people's details safe as well. So, in terms of, again, those measures, it's also making sure you've got the right partners in place, and obviously, good corporate partners as well, and well-known corporate partners. So that's look, most of our stuff lives up in the cloud as well. But even from a more, I guess, operational standpoint, our whole business is all two-factor authentication. So everything that we do or log into is, you need a mobile phone as well as a password. So we ensure even at a base level, operational level, that we do that as well.
Yeah, no, great. So more going back to kind of the client side of it, what real experience, like in your kind of experience that you've seen over the last few years, how have digital technologies improved customer service?
I think in terms of communication, I think, for us, it's transparency as well. When things go wrong or things don't things go wrong, or even when things go right, it's keeping our customers up to date on what's happening, I think is really important. Obviously we do have a CRM strategy in place as well. So in terms of how we nurture them through our customer life cycle as well. So again, it's all about transparency. It's also one of our business mantras within our own business is all about transparency as well. So even with our employees from a management position all the way down to what we call our member success representatives, there's all KPIs can be measured from top to bottom, and everyone has actually visibility across all those KPIs. They're building towards something, and obviously really affecting business outcomes. So that's again that's what technology allows us to do. It allows us to pull that data from maybe our CRM, from finance, from the website, from analytics, put it all together in one spot. So that's really what I guess technology has done for us in terms of measuring sort of KPIs, and obviously the employees seeing how they're actually affecting the business and financial performance and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, great. So obviously Splend is still kind of new on the scene. You've got a year under your belts, but what kind of are the key trends you see yourselves utilizing over the next couple of years as you grow and grow?
Yeah. Look, I think there's, again, for us, it's all about the driver. It's all about our members. So really important thing is, how do we help them become a better driver, basically. Man, for on-demand services like Uber right now. So with Uber, you are what's that word? You're responsible, obviously, for your own ratings. Obviously, you have to have good customer service. You have to drive well, but everyone thinks they're the best driver in the world, right? So it's kind of like, well, how do we measure that? But what's really great is in all our vehicles we have a telematics device, and actually what that measures is not only obviously where our vehicles are, because obviously we need to know where they are, but it actually measures how safe that driver drives. So we actually can feed that back to them and say, look, at this point you were speeding, what were you doing? Can we help you improve on those things? Or even, and obviously we scoreboard and leaderboard them across our whole customer base. And actually we reward and incentivize our best drivers. So using that type of technology to help them become better drivers, to earn more money, and all the important things, what the drivers are wanting to do with driving for these on-demand economies. That's definitely probably one thing that we'll see is that it's closing that feedback loop. You can only know so much until you actually see what you're doing. That's probably a key trend personally for us as a business that we'll see over the next few years, that we'll use more and more and more. Even to the extent where we can probably use that data to help our drivers be in the right spot to get the best fares as well. The solution of that data is not only to help them feedback, become a better driver, but then we can sort of use that, what we call predictive. We can start using that word predictive and actually to tell our drivers where to go before it happens, and that's where we want to get to, because obviously it's in our best interest that our drivers are out there and members are out there earning money. So that's to us is the best outcome for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it sounds like a really exciting business that you've kind of developed over the last year. So I'm excited to see Splend grow. So thanks so much, Marcus, for participating today. This will just be up on the YouTube channel, and we are so excited to have you join us at the Chief Digital Officer Forum in Sydney this October. Do you have any last bits to add?
No, I think that's it. I guess I'll see everyone there.
Perfect. Thanks again, Marcus.
Thanks, Rose.